All right, so welcome to the Nutrition Depot podcast. So this is our episode 2 for today. So
Whoop de whoop.
whoop de whoop, yes. So last week it was me, Coach Tim, and Coach Luis, and as you guys know, we belong to this sports science circle, and part of the aim of this podcast is to educate you guys. So that includes training, nutrition, and fitness. And on our end, we're trying to link between the evidence literature and how you can actually apply those things in the real world. So included in that is expanding our circle so that we could actually learn from new people. So now we have quite an expansion for today. So let me introduce to you guys this majestic specimen, all right? So he's simply the Century Super Bowl 2022 grand winner, goddamn protein, and he's also the Mr. World 2023 foreign. And he is also a fitness coach. So, let me introduce you guys, the one and only Kirk Bondad. Kirk, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you very much for the introduction. I
Great.
feel honored to be here. I appreciate it.
Nice.
I'm sure it will be a fun podcast.
Did
And
I
of
do your
course,
introduction justice?
The cringe came up. Yeah. Felt it. The hair. Sweet.
Nice. Well, lessen that cringe.
But I
in a
like the
while.
energy. I like the energy.
Nice. Let's try to keep that energy. And let's keep that energy. Before I forget, we have Coach Luis de Mesa, the century man, the man himself. And I'm Dwight, simply Dwight. All right? So,
Very humble.
yes,
And
very humble
white.
here. Right? Great. So, probably before you became this majestic specimen of a century tuna bod,
Damn right.
where did that came from first? So, give us a brief background how you end up where you are right now.
Oh man. Okay, well, the short version is I came here to the Philippines in 2018. I was actually studying fitness economy in Germany. So I was dual student. So I was working full time as a personal trainer in a gym, and I was also studying it. And I got the introduction from my brother to probably model here in the Philippines because back then he already had an agency. So I told myself, so whatever I'm doing right now, I can probably do it in 5 years, in 10 years, and who knows, maybe even 20 years. So let's give it a shot. I went to the Philippines. I booked myself a ticket. A return ticket was actually 3 months after it. But I told myself, if this will turn out good, I can buffer the time to maybe probably 6 months. Long story short, I ended to extend it to 8 months, went back to Germany, and told myself, all right, should I do this again? And yeah, and I did it again the next year, and whoop-de-whoop, I'm here in the
Whoop-de-whoop.
Philippines. Won Mr. Philippines 2022, Mr. World Philippines, and also competed in the Century Tuna Superbots, and always was active. Even as a child, had my background in judo and tennis. Also did a little bit of American football, and found my passion mostly in strength training, bodybuilding, aesthetic, chasing that Z's physique.
Z's physique, yes.
Of course.
You Myron that games.
Exactly.
All right.
So always in a way from always went back to the weights, to the iron, to the iron kingdom.
Yes. Nice. So I think it's similar where we also started a bunch of recreational athletes or frustrated athletes, then tried the science and stuff like that. So I think Coach Luis has a similar story of being an athlete before and then studying too, right?
Yeah, but basically after college, I just called it quits and then just coach full time.
Yeah.
Because when I saw my athletes like jump really high, sprint really fast, I can't do this. I'll just coach.
But your value is immense. You're giving the people the tools to get even better. And I think there's a lot of...
At least I acquire maybe around 70 to 80% of what they have athletically, and probably that's enough. But I'm curious to ask. You did American football in Germany?
Yeah.
Okay. There's a league there. There's an actual...
It's very small. It's not a big thing at all. So it's
Would it? I was expecting like rugby in the Europe. Not
Yeah.
really.
also not big. It's more of an Australian thing actually. There's of course a little bit of American football and rugby there, but the funds are not usually there. It goes usually into soccer, very big into soccer. But American football was amazing because also my commitment into the sport wasn't that much because back then I was stronger than now. I was doing more the powerlifting stuff, and of course the conditioning was more like very explosive sprinting type of styles, and I was always a good sprinter, and I'm tall and long, so I played the wide receiver position, so the farthest on the right or left, so the guy who runs usually the fastest and the longest and catches with his long arm and just like even sprints out.
And then does the celebration afterwards.
Of course, the backflip.
The whoop-de-whoop is there. Alright, we got that whoop-de-whoop. That has to be there. That's perfect. So, yeah, actually, we have some similarities there. So, we also started with the powerlifting background. I also dived in the martial arts scene. What isn't common, however, which is completely obvious, is this pageantry that we have not experienced. So, the first time you went here in the Philippines, was that the first thing, the Century Tuna or the Miss World? Mr. World, sorry, my bad.
It was while I was competing for Century Tuna Superbots. I did also the castings and all the process in becoming Mr. World Philippines. But I also did the Century Tuna Superbots competition back in 2020, but I got disqualified.
Why?
What?
Because one of the candidates, with I was very close, got the Rona Mona. And I don't know if you remember it, but we had to put a list if you're in a close proximity with that person who got affected. And of course, this was the peak of the pandemic and health got first. So I got the tough call and said, yeah, you know, you stayed here for like 7 months and you prepared very hard and you can't compete. But it's okay. I appreciate it. And 2 years after,
You won.
I won it after.
Damn.
So.
It's your redemption story.
Sure
Nice.
it is.
And then throughout the process, pandemic and stuff, you were staying in Germany, is that right?
I was working, I was blessed and privileged to work in Thailand for 16 months. I was exclusively working for JK Global Media as a host, model, actor, everything in front of the camera.
God damn, you got so many hats. So you're in Thailand, you're in Germany, you're in the Philippines.
Aside from modeling and acting, did you do acting in Thailand?
Very light acting.
Okay.
Yeah.
Did you do like fitness work?
Yeah, I was, I mean, since I was in Thailand, I was doing a lot of Muay Thai. So I had my personal Muay Thai instructor there, and of course, I had my own gym, so I always trained bodybuilding, powerlifting in that sense, jogging. But the Muay Thai was really where I was very much into that.
God damn.
Did you know Dwight is was the strength and conditioning coach of the national team of Muay Thai here?
Oh, no
before.
way.
Yeah, but I'm just a coach, so so it doesn't mean I'm a good fighter. I'm an
That's a
amateur
nice
fighter,
niche,
yeah.
because I remember when I started and I was like thinking, how can I combine it the best with my strength and bodybuilding,
Completely understand,
so that
yeah.
it actually complements my Muay Thai, because with Muay Thai it's a very, very, very tough sport, and there's so much explosiveness going on and snappiness. Man, when I did research, I was like, oh my gosh, this is like a whole new bubble of ocean with information I couldn't comprehend. But
Damn.
I guess I needed the Dwight information here.
And you're in Thailand, trained for Muay Thai, and usually the Thailanders are like really crazy with the training. Was it hard, like extreme, considering that was your first time training Muay Thai?
Yeah, I pushed them. I pushed my trainer. I said to him, I want you to kill me.
Nice. Nice.
Because the English barrier is very, tough, so I made it very simple. It's like, I want you to give your everything. So this is what we did. So for example, I remember we just ended the workout with like, yeah, okay, we do like 500 crunches now. And 500 crunches, like every time he hit me in my solar plexus. And I'm like 100 in, and I'm like, what did I just do?
Why did I
This
just
is
do that?
ludicrous. This is ludicrous.
I know. Huh.
Did you train there to the point of actually ever thought of like competing? Yeah.
Of course, there's always this mindset of me in competing, but then I'm not very attracted to the idea of getting head injuries.
Yeah.
And simply, it's like, it's an asset, right?
Yeah.
If you are cognitive, quick and smart,
Yeah,
you have to protect your brain.
Yeah.
And there's an opponent in the ring who literally wants to knock you out. And of course, how does he do it? It's like with an elbow in your head. And that trauma over time and over time is not worth it. And of course, I have to be careful about my beauty.
Yes.
And let's imagine somebody breaks my nose.
Exactly.
I mean, that's part of, like, if I would commit to the sport, then I have to commit fully. And this is just one barrier where I think to myself, like, I cannot commit to that aspect.
Nice. We got to preserve the beauty. That's the reason why I compete. I don't got that beauty right here, so I can risk my face. So that's completely fine.
The height also.
And the height. So there's no beauty in here. So I don't mind at all. So
I'm more afraid of little fighter who goes on. I don't know. Maybe it's like this thing, like this dwarf effect. He can just like directly go into my, my soft parts, and I'm getting like anxiety. If somebody's on my own level, like I feel all right. I can at least like, there's no low blow.
Nice. I wish I could feel the same way, but not really. So that's a huge chunk of the athlete hat of Kirk. So now let's try to dive deep on the fitness hat of Kirk Bondad. So let's talk about your approach with fitness. So specifically, you started in Germany 2018, somewhere around that. Is that right?
With
The personal training, or
yes,
exactly. And then throughout the years, probably that evolved. So what's your general approach to training? Let's say someone came in here, Kirk, I want you to train me into a majestic beauty by 3 weeks. So how does that process normally look like?
I wouldn't take you as a client.
Nice, good answer, good answer.
I wouldn't take you as a client because I have to be very careful
That
with
was a
who.
trick question.
Nice.
Yeah, I'm very big into sustainable fitness, so it really depends on who the client is. Generally, how I approach the client is I always evaluate their lifestyle first and see how they can commit to the journey.
Nice.
Because of course, everybody, when I ask them how many times you can work out, they gave every time. It's like 5 to 6 times. I'm like, oh, let's back it up.
Yes.
Let's back it up, young boy or young woman. Let's make it 3 times. Let's see if you can commit to this. And then usually what I do, I just focus on not even the body parts, just on lifts and focusing on strength first. So I build a nice foundation. Of course, if the person is more experienced, he already has probably like 2 to 4 years of lifting experience. I can be more intense, I can be more technical with the approach, and of course more individualized. But I always approach it from sustainability. Because for me as a coach, there is no value in me if I can coach the person to, let's say, a superficial goal of I want to lose 30 pounds. I can get you there. That's the easy part. The hard part is the diet after the diet, the lifestyle choices, the mental adaptation that come into place where you actually feel comfortable in letting go of your client. And this is what gives me the most meaning out of coaching.
Nice. That's actually perfect. So we usually think if we train people, go for optimal and stuff like that, but it's quite refreshing for someone to say, step back and sustain this first. So let's see if you could actually do it. With Coach Luis, and especially with our end, normally with athletes, sustainable could be different for a professional. So let's say with Coach Luis, with the fitness population, do you approach the same way or a bit different?
Yeah, of course. Actually, we're in the same boat with Kirk. Like, mostly I train athletes. So sometimes athletes would want to like jump into like jumping right away, running right away. And then I tell them, no, we're not going to jump until your knees are okay. Or maybe even if you're okay, maybe it'll take us maybe 2 weeks. I need to see you like at least three times a week at first. And then we'll see by next week how your body responds. And then becomes 4, becomes to 5. But it all depends on how fit you are. Because as we all know, fatigue masks fitness, right? So at the end of the day, how much you recover, how much you can recover is how much you can really train, optimally. So it's a breath of fresh air that share the same views with Kirk, and let's move along with this journey towards being the
sustainable, majestic beauties,
the reigning champion.
I feel it's always even better for the client if you start with a solid base and then just ramp it up, other than ramp it up from the beginning and then tell them, we need to cut down now.
Exactly.
So because psychology is such an important factor when you train or coach somebody, And of course, if you train athletes, like they are like go-getters. You're probably the type of personality where you have to cool down. It's like, man, it's like chill. Less is more. Because they want to do so much, and like sometimes
it's like they get sad when the session gets over. It's like, that's it. Can you
there's
do
the
more?
discipline. That's the other part of the discipline that they also need. Like you think like discipline is always go get, but sometimes discipline can be get more rest, do not so much, or like be smart about the approach, go a little bit slower.
Damn, that's quite surprising. So honestly, that was the same approach that me and Coach Tim does too.
Yeah.
So sustainable first before the optimal. Now, that's usually the training plan. So where the direction of where we want to go. Now let's talk about the actual process of it. So the program and stuff. So normally, what do you look first with a client? So all right, so he or she committed to 3 times a week and 4 times a week, whatever like that. So what's the next step from that usually?
If I may add, maybe you can mix in how you train yourself as well.
Yeah.
Towards being the
Okay, so this is
superbody.
a very interesting add-on. The way how I train myself, I always detach that process from the way how I train my client. Because let's say if I would be always into that aesthetic type of goal, and then a client comes to me and I say, all right, we do push-pull legs 6 times a week. I don't care who you are, but we just do it because it works for me. That's not very much the same case. So every person who comes and approaches me and is interested in coaching, I evaluate them from an individual point of view. Sometimes, of course, I have anecdotal experience, what I feel might work, but I always top it up from a scientific approach and say, okay, there's a blueprint that we can approach, and on top of my own experience that I have, it can help if we can amplify the same technique. So usually it's very basic from the beginning. I look at them, what they did before, or if they even did something before, and then I look at them how it actually gave them what kind of progress. Because sometimes the same approach gives a little bit of a different result to another person, just because, as an online coach, it's also very hard to determine whether their form or whatever is good or bad. So when they say, yeah, I did 10 sets of deadlift and squats and bench, and then the other guy does it too, but he gets remarkable different results, and it's like, okay, why is that? And then you reverse engineer. Is it the form? Is it the sleep? Is it the supplements? Whatever it is.
Yeah.
So of course, always touching base with every client first. When it comes to the programming, because lifting weight, heavy weight, resistance training is a skill. So I approach it the way. So it depends on how strong or what the skill level of that individual is. I can structure certain movements that will ideally lead up to the squat, bench, deadlifts, the overhead press, the bent over rows, all that compound exercises, because simply most of the people, they have limited time in a week to work out. So if we can just focus and capitalize on the movements that give you the most result and be very effective and efficient in that and progress over time, this is where they get the most back out, like the most results.
Amazing. That's actually really cool. Then usually when you do start, do you track stuff? So do you ask them to weigh themselves, or do you want them to drop down or measure and stuff?
What I do with them, I make it very gradually. Because for many people that I coach, it's a very big commitment to start tracking everything else. So what I do is just send me, when it comes to nutrition, for example, just send me everything that you eat for the next 2 weeks. Everything. I will not judge. I will just observe. I want to see with what I'm dealing with. And then based on that, I will just say to them, okay, you know what? It looks good. Thank you. Let's switch some things around. It's not too much. Sometimes it's very easy and like, you know what? You need to drink more water. Here's what we can do. Buy yourself a gallon, whatever it is, fill it up in the morning, drink it. And then throughout the day, drink the other rest. So I try to give them habits in a way that it doesn't even feel like they're actually adapting to that. Of course, with the progress in the gym, I always give them a workout program, and I myself work with Trainerize. That's the platform that I use with my clients, so they can always progress their stats, the reps, the sets, the resting period, and everything in that sense. So I have somewhat a progress line.
There's a very good training app, Trainerize.
Yeah.
And then Kirk gave gave a very good advice to coaches that they can emulate. Like they can ask like what their clients are eating for 2 straight weeks. That's gonna be super stressful. Maybe if you have like around 20 clients, that's gonna be
20
super.
different foods in your email and stuff.
But that's the job, no?
That's part of
the
it.
jo- That's
Yeah.
part of it.
So you're basically observing first before you give recommendations and do this, and that.
Yeah, because if I can just like, because I always have a blueprint, but each blueprint has to be applied individually to that aspect, to the individual. Because some people, they don't struggle with water, for example. They struggle with something completely different. They struggle with that one meal at the end of the day where they have nothing in their home, so they always go out and buy some junk food. And it's like the other person has the same problem in the morning, but he gets, I don't know, like a very inefficient source of protein. And it's like, you know what? We can switch it around. We can make it better.
So usually with the nutrition stuff too, you try to fix it and educate them on that side
Yeah.
as well, not just the training.
Yeah, I mean, come on. Like in the end of the day, I want to see results. They want to see results.
Yeah.
The training part is usually the easiest of everything because I just give them a program, we talk about it, and they just follow it. And sometimes, of course, we have our calls where we update each other. It's like, how does it feel? They can track the intensity, all that, and then it makes sense. Okay, you know what? We just change it a little bit. The hard part is always everything outside of the gym.
Yeah, exactly.
Because if you just focus on that 1 to 2 hours in the gym, that's easy. Everything beside that, the sleep tracking, the food, oh my gosh, you become a psychiatrist.
you got all the
So
hacks.
much. I have, you know how many people's lives I have in my mind?
We feel you.
We feel you, man.
Oh man, I'm going to sleep, I'm just like,
That's
so
why
much.
most coaches are like chronically caffeinated. Like
Oh
all
my
the
God.
blood is all.
GABA. Take GABA.
Yeah.
I swear, GABA is the best supplement that I just recently found for myself. I never really took it because whenever I saw the reviews and other the studies, it's like always a little bit conflicting. It's like give or take, it's hit or miss. But it's, you know what? It's like the one thing that I didn't try for the past 5 years or so. And it's like, it really calms me down. It feels, I get detached. And I already use L-theanine, which already produces the GABA receptors in your body. So it's like, why
That's
should
what
I
I use. That's
yeah,
what I use.
it helps for me, but I feel like the GABA,
It's not enough.
it's like, it's not the precursor, it's like post-cursor, like after the L-theanine comes into your body. Oh my gosh. Whole different world.
Like how? Like what usually was.
I'm detached. I'm detached. Usually because with me, I also have ADHD. So I have the problem with detaching myself from my thoughts at night. With that comes my insomnia. And this is like a snake eating its own tail. So it's like the loop goes deeper and deeper and deeper. And GABA is the one supplement right now that I'm taking. And it's a very low dosage. It's only 1.5 to 2 grams. Some people take 20 grams. I don't know about that. But I just feel more detached. I feel more calmer. It doesn't make me necessarily sleeper. It just puts me into a very mellow state of mind.
I think I just take like 7 of those so I could feel
Take
your
it.
deep voice and calming. I think I'm convinced with this GABA right now.
Because
Damn.
do I take something else?
Yeah.
But with every supplement, this is the way how I approach it. I take a supplement for at least 2 weeks, very consistent, 2 to 4 weeks, and see how it affects my body. After the 4 weeks, I stop it for 2 weeks, and I see whether anything in my life changes, just to see whether this
actually
was a
nice.
placebo
Yeah.
or I did anything else in my life that contributed to that effect. After those 2 weeks, I will start reintroducing it again to see whether this was effective or not. Because GABA might work for me, might not work for you. You know, that's the thing about those.
It's a very good advice, guys.
Actually,
Yeah.
it really
I
is.
mean, there's so many supplements that work. Some supplements have more scientific studies than others. GABA is with that, you know, it's hit or miss. I mean, just get yourself a high quality GABA. I take it from Nutrition Depot, NutraBio.
That's so reliable.
No, usually because you have to be very careful with
Yeah,
these type of supplements
And,
because they spike them.
Yeah.
You can also consult with your nutritionist. Maybe they can give you the right dosage for you because it may differ depending on your size, your
Yeah.
activity level, and whatever.
Exactly.
And I'm very curious to ask since Kirk discussed that he trains a lot of clients. and also online. I'm curious to ask, have you had like typical Filipinos or mostly European clients? Do their habits differ?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, so much with the. So I have clients and online clients in each continent, and it messes up with my schedule.
Like the Filipinos like eat too much carbs, you know.
With the Filipino, when it comes to nutrition, and the Filipino clients I have is they eat way too much fried foods, and they are very high in vegetable oil. So it's very highly inflammatory food sources.
We're guilty with that.
And unbelievable, and this is not even a roast to the Philippine society,
Yeah.
but the baseline of education when it comes to nutrition in the Philippines is so low. Something as basic when I say, okay, you know what? So we have a basic conversation. I tell them we need to be more cautious about your carb intake because you don't need them much. So then I say, okay, so I eat more bananas now, more potatoes. I'm like, no, this is carbs. So the basic fundamental understanding of nutrition 101 is very low in the Philippines compared to the Western society, where people at least know, this is more carbs, this is more protein, this is the fat. With the nutrition part, it's
basically the nutrition 101 here in the Philippines. You lose weight, you cut out the rice. That's it. That's 95%.
Most of the clients here in the Philippines, they're very focused on fat loss, and it's I get often to say like, I don't want to look like you, and I'm like always giggling inside of me. I'm like,
no, you don't.
even if you want to, you couldn't.
The choke slam. Are you sure?
So far beyond. It was like, you wish.
It's true.
And then they're so conflicted with the idea, especially with females, that they don't want to gain muscle because I always get that I don't want to look muscly. It's like, you know what? Everything that you did so far in your life, like your fitness journey, put you right now in this spot. If everything you did before work, and let's specify it. Let's specify what they did before. They were usually doing a crash diet, any type of diet. They do excessive amounts of HIIT cardio or cardio in general. They lost all the weight that they always wished for. They reached to the point of weight loss, and then they bounce back. They bounce back even higher. But then what happens at that point when they're back or even higher, the body composition is even worse. They have more fat and less muscle. So then the metabolic rate goes even lower. So what happens again? Oh, I gain all the weight. Let's do it all again. And they do it over 5 years, 10 years, 20 years. And it's like, already when you are like above 30, you deteriorate. Your muscle protein synthesis goes down. So on top of that, you are even inducing that process of deterioration in doing all that crash diet and yo-yo dieting. Despite all that, they still want to do everything. They want to, and I said to them, you know what, let's focus on strength training. And I always get that expression, oh man.
I don't want to get big.
Yeah, I don't want to get big. So there's a lot of this, this approach as a coach in unlearning the client's habits or what they did before. Because mass media, especially with the fitness, what most fitness is selling in today's society is get the quick results. And fat loss is the quickest that you can do. The strength part, the muscle building part, it takes years, it takes months. It's very hard to sell to somebody. You know what? Let's do something for 2 years. It might not give you the best visible results, but it will be an investment life for your entire life. Instead of like, you know what? Let's do the 90 days squat challenge and you will lose 20 pounds of whatever.
I think a good takeaway from there is the education part. So instead of like focusing on eat this and eat that, you're teaching them or letting them unlearn these new stuff instead of just giving out, right?
It's so easy to say that though. It's very hard in execution.
Yeah, so you mentioned a while ago the metabolic rate. So actually it is a common thing here in the Philippines where they fear the strength training, they're scared of the muscle mass, but in reality, muscle mass is really helpful in terms of making your body look good. That he mentioned, Kirk, the metabolic rate. So normally these muscle mass, the higher the muscle mass, the higher the metabolic rate, meaning basically the breaking down aspect of it. So maybe for an individual who's fatter at the same body weight compared to another person who has the same body weight but has more muscle mass, probably could do a lot more, could eat a lot more compared to the others, but still look good, right? And then now, you mentioned a while ago, Kirk, about your supplements that you take and stuff like that. Do you apply the same approach with the people you work with, or where do you usually stand in the supplementation?
If I may, just on a comment to what you just said with the metabolic rate, for like to simplify it as easy as possible, just imagine somebody who has a lot of muscle. For the viewer right now, imagine if you have a lot of muscle, you are a car with a big engine. And if you have less muscle, but you have the same car, but with a little engine. The guy with the more muscle, or the person, he needs more fuel, more calories. He can get away with more, literally eating more. Everything is easier with him. Weight loss, muscle strength, life quality, of course, to a threshold, but that's the most simple way in explaining
beauty.
to the most basic form.
And beauty.
And beauty.
Yes.
Longevity.
Longevity.
I want to play with my grandchildren when I'm older and
Exactly.
play catch and you know, it's not just muscle. It's not just an aesthetic thing. It's actually how you can prolong your life.
Yeah.
I don't care. I mean, of course, I appreciate the looks of it, but the goal here is to live a fit, strong, long life. You want to get old? Sure. You want to get old and healthy and be strong when you're 80, 90 years old, because this is what we get. Our medical industry is so advancing that they even say for every fourth year that we are living right now, we're getting 1 year plus. So I guess we are all more or less on our same age. We probably get easy to 90 or 100 years old.
I think so too. I think I'm at like 150 right now, so I'm not really sure. So I got that Benjamin Button disease. So that's not our nutritional approach. So takeaway, gain muscle, everything becomes easier.
Yeah, if
It
I may
really
add,
does.
what I tell to my clients who are afraid to gain mass, especially for females, it's like just work out, just train. Just train as much as you can until you reach to a certain point wherein you're already scared of your body or how you look. But in reality, it's going to take so much time, so much effort before you even reach to a point where you're already scaring yourself with your body, where you become so muscular. And it only usually happens to like professional athletes.
Even if you have the best coaches, the best nutrition, the best supplements, even if you have everything on hand and the time, and you stick to the plan, even then, it is such a slow process.
Yeah, it's so hard.
It is so hard. I think people don't realize how hard it is to gain muscle in comparison to lose fat.
Yeah, you don't.
But the good thing is, once you have acquired that muscle, and let's say you maintain it for maybe 2 or 3 years, that's investment. You have it. The way how you actually maintain it, you don't need to torture yourself in the gym and doing 10, 20 sets per week. You can maintain that muscle group with 4 to 8 sets per week. That's insane, and this is what I'm doing right now. I'm doing so much cardio, but I still train out 5 times a week. But all these workouts are like maybe 30 to 45 minutes long. But all what I do is just like I blast them 3 sets, and that's it. And that's it.
Yeah.
So whatever you're doing right now and gaining, that journey of gaining muscle, once you have it, you are safe for a very, very long time.
That's very nice to hear, because we know that Kirk is currently training for triathlon and still trying to maintain his strength, at least like 4 to 8 sets per week. That's very minimal.
Super
And
minimal.
that's just enough for you to keep your
Maintain,
joints healthy, especially with the running part. And that's a lot of repetitive movements, So, because there's always sometimes a pushback with the running endurance community that sometimes strength holds you
Make it
back.
slow and stuff. Yeah.
But it holds you back if you don't like train the right way, do strength training the right way, So experience speaks for itself with Kirk, and
But I do enjoy, I have to be honest, there's also this ego aspect of me where I just simply enjoy chasing the pump. It just gives me that nostalgia when I'm in the freaking gym and I just blast myself with bicep curls and the chest flies. It's like I love that feeling too. So this it's like I'm always talking about performance here and conditioning there, but man, sometimes deep down I'm still that gym bro.
Exactly, I know.
Who just
How heavy was your heaviest when you like bulk to, and then how were you able to like reach to that point?
Well, my body weight was the heaviest probably around 2019. I was 93 kg, so this is around about 208 pounds probably. Back then, my heaviest deadlift was 210 kg. But I never really trained on singles. But this was the strongest pound to pound what I ever had. And obviously, I'm weaker now, but I'm on so many different aspects better or more an athlete than before.
Yeah, so you keep progressing. You mentioned you're trying out a lot of new things. So how do you keep yourself motivated? So if we're going to end this on a high note, so for the viewers out there, it seems like Kirk is doing a lot. In spite of, you're still doing them and you're also improving. So how do you keep yourself motivated?
There are actually two aspects that I want to focus on. Number one is the mindset, and number two, which a lot of people don't realize how much it actually affects you, especially if you're in such a high demanding athlete, I would say so, it's supplements. So number one, the mindset. When it comes to motivation, I just did a post about it on my IG. You have to delete the idea of motivation because motivation is just the reward when you stay consistent to the process.
Exactly.
Of course, if you feel motivated in the beginning, ride the wave. We don't demonize motivation. But if your version in the future requires every time for you to do an action, motivation, you will lose. Because even for me, my motivation goes and up, down, comes in waves. Whenever I have that wave, I catch it and I ride along. But I never attach myself to that feeling, okay, I'm motivated, I do more. Of course, everybody knows the saying, discipline is what keeps you going. And this is the simple truth. But never approach anything in life when it comes to motivation that you need that, because if you attach motivation, which is a feeling, we're very emotional beings, human beings, you know? We cannot rely on it. The second part is I do take a lot of supplements that actually help me to push on a notch. Because with me, I don't meet a lot of people who are like me in that industry who also approach a very athletic lifestyle. And I would be probably healthier, I will be honest, if I would have a little bit more body fat. But since one of my other professions is, be a spokesperson, ambassador for brands and a model, I need to remain a very low body fat percentage. And it's not very inducive for my health when it comes to my hormonal production with my testosterone, let alone my sleep. The leaner I go, the higher my insomnia. Most of my problems with my health would just probably go away if I just eat a burger once in a while, But that's that. So what I do is, when it comes to motivation specifically, I like to supplement. One of my favorite supplements that I take is L-tyrosine. So L-tyrosine is an amino acid that can regulate your dopamine levels, and dopamine is linked to that feeling of you want to chase something. It's not the reward system. It's more like you want to go somewhere. So I take 1.5 grams every single day, and it gives me a feeling of like euphoria, but I just want to push a little bit more. And of course, sleeping, one of the most productive things that I can do is sleep. So I really take care of my sleep. And since I just told you with my low body fat percentage and my high activity levels on a day, my sleep suffers a lot. So I supplement a lot with sleep supplements. One I already just mentioned, the GABA. It's not so much a sleep supplement in my opinion. It's more like really make you mellow and chill.
What's your body fat percentage then?
I don't track it, but I would say it's probably 10%. Who knows, a little bit lower. I
think it's a little bit lower.
I think it's also lower. I'm very humble.
You could take your shirt off if you want to.
When I was an athlete, I experienced like 9%. And it's like
I always add like 2% more to what I think I am. Just simple, who knows.
I feel him because it's like when you're that compact and like your body fat is so low, you feel like you're always like your body's always burning, you can't sleep, it's kind of like that.
Exactly.
Kind of like that feeling.
But I feel like supplements are so helpful, especially for these type of people who push the limits. simply because it saves so much time. And sometimes I don't want to eat all the calories. For example, when we talk about protein, when I have a really good fatty steak, but my calories are quite limited per day. So of course, I do supplement with whey protein. Sometimes, I have to be honest, too much to my liking. Like I can consume 150 grams of protein powder a day. This is like, oh man, I'm really pushing the envelope. But then in the end of the day, it's food. Like people have to understand that, because I always get the question, oh Kirk, is that healthy for your kidneys and all that? Unless you are predispositioned of any kidney failures or illnesses in your family, you are good. Protein powder is nothing but just food. It's almost like a waste product. And for me, protein powder, high protein diet is the most important part in that everything sticks together when it comes to my nutrition.
Yeah, that's what I tell to some clients, that they get scared because they might get kidney failure. And then I tell them, do you see the news? Like, is there like 1 out of 10 people gets that? Probably one out of 1,000. You know, and then someone gets it and then becomes so hyped and then so.
And this person is usually also very unhealthy.
Yeah.
To begin with, so it's like you literally focus on the most negative aspect of that one thing, and then you know maximize it to the public. So it's not healthy, but then they eat chicken fry and all that.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Like me coaching for 10 years, I only had like two, three athletes who are like really not okay with their kidneys because of their genetic history, then they can't take that powder and stuff like that. So if they have that predisposition, they can only eat specific types of meat also as well. So then that really affects them. But with the right nutritionist, doctor, then it should be good.
Exactly. So people tend to demonize these supplements and stuff like that it's unhealthy, but in reality, it's just supplying what you can't really get normally. So especially for Kirk, who's like an athlete who's doing training multiple times in a day, imagine yourself eating 150 grams of steak every single time. That isn't as optimal as you want to be. So if you're also an elite athlete, what's inside of those supplements is extremely crucial. So I wouldn't want Kirk to lose all of his accolades just because of this specific stuff inside the whey protein, and that has always been the case. So make sure that you trust these brands or these supplements that you take in. Like these NutriBio is actually really good in terms of being transparent with their ingredients. So they put in the BCAA, the actual content of it, and then in terms of the whey protein, what exactly whey is inside of it. Is it actually concentrate? Is it isolate? Because we have a lot of these supplements who are mixing a lot of things where the general public doesn't really understand.
There's full disclosure, and then there's a Nutrition Depot does like a third-party testing,
I mean, I feel it on my body right away. Like, let's talk about real life differences. I used to take other brands, and I'm very sensitive with my skin. I'm talking very sensitive. If I eat a pizza today, I will get pimples tomorrow. That's it. So when it comes, especially with milk products, if they're dirty, defined dirty with a lot of fillers, some kind of factory produced, where this is more like a waste product, I bloat. I hold water. My skin literally builds up acne. So at least with NutriBio, it's denatured, meaning it's actually in a factory where they produce whey. It's cold pressed, so it doesn't break down. It wasn't breaking down, and it's third party tested. It's like, come on, who goes that extra step where you actually say what you say and then go to some laboratory and just prove it? This costs money. So when you take a protein supplement, like I have to be very careful with what I take, so I keep the quality high, because of course if I eat 150 grams of protein from protein powder, if this is a bad, it's like a dirty protein powder, it is detrimental. Let alone the bathrooms. I don't want to talk about that.
The bathroom trips, right? Yeah, so make sure you guys know what you're taking in, and this is the exact thing why we're doing this podcast, to let you guys know what you're taking in and make sure it's not good or bad for you, all right? So to end this on a really high note, if there's anything you want to leave with people, maybe athletes, maybe non-athletes, what would you leave it to them?
Some final words. Final words.
Yeah, stop wasting time. You already know what to do. Most of the time it's not even doing the right steps. Most of the time it's just letting go of the things that are holding you back. Sometimes those steps, they require a lot of courage and discipline to take. But you have to be honest with yourself, because if you just wish and you are very dedicated, but you are lazy, you will get depressed. So if you're not ambitious, be honest to yourself, because you only have one life. Just do the best out of it. And if your perfect life is just living simple, that's fine too. Just make sure to go get after it.
Amazing. I think I've said this more than 3 times. This is quite refreshing to hear this type of topics from outside of our circle. And hopefully, people can learn a lot more from you. So where can they find you if they want to find you?
Sure. I'm on one platform, the most active, and that's Instagram. You can find me on Kirk Bondad. It's Kirk_Bondad. I just post my entire life, but mainly focusing on health, lifestyle, fitness, and of course the hybrid athlete lifestyle.
Nice. So
All right.
that was amazing. So I hope you guys took a lot from this. We did. And I hope this will also encourage you guys to keep tuning in, and we will have more guests in this podcast. And thank you guys.
Thank you for having me. Enjoyed it much.